Hey everybody, I'm Roy Cannaday.
I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Mike DiLisio.
Welcome to the Dice Tower. Today we're taking a look at a game called Nightfall, which is not the popular Batman graphic novel, which is an amazing graphic novel.
It's not Nightwing.
Oh, wow, I didn't know you were going there. Okay.
No,
sure.
Nightfall. It's a great
No,
series.
I know. I just didn't make that connection until just now.
This is a game from Ryan Laukat, or at least, more specifically, from Red Raven.
Yes.
Which normally is Ryan Laukat's games. This one's not. This is a different designer, but it has Ryan Laukat artwork. Well, actually, half the artwork is Ryan Laukat's. I think it tells you in the...
It tells you what specifically each artist did.
Yes,
He did
Andrew Bosley did half the art. Was it Andrew Bosley?
Yes, and then Ryan Laukat did the story elements for the campaign.
That's awesome.
Yes, this is... Now, when I go into this game, I'm very excited because Red Raven, I'm on board always. Then I heard it's cooperative / competitive, and I never believe that. I never do. And so I was nervous, but also Ryan Laukat. Okay, so here's how to play the game. In a competitive game, there's going to be 2 knights versus 2 demons. And you're going to place it out here. You have a bunch of elders. It's the knight's job to protect these elders, and these elders have these clips that you'll keep track of their health. When they each have 6 health, when all their health is gone, they're removed from the board. There's going to be 2 knights. Each knight will start in 2 of the corners. Knights have a couple golems who are on their team. And then the 2 demons who start in the middle, and they will have 3 imps who are on their team. The others are kind of spread throughout. And you have this 3x3 grid. Now you are going to play 2 knights against 2 demons, so it could be 2 versus 2, or one person controls the 2 knights and 2 people. You can play 2, 3, or 4 this way. This is the point tracker here, and this is the demon point marker, the knight's point marker. Anytime you kill a member of the opposing team, you get a point. If the demons kill an elder, they get 2 points. And at the end of every round, after everyone has had 1 turn, the knights automatically get a point. The first person to get to the castle door is the winner. Here we have 2 of the demons and 2 of the knights, although there are plenty of each. And in fact, if you ever get killed in this game, you will draw a new one. Your knight is like permanently removed, but you'll draw a new one and then just respawn and keep fighting. You have a certain number of hit points at the bottom. Knights have defense. Defense is something that they can use to defend both themselves and the elders. Each person has an automatic special ability that's always in play. And then they have a magic ability, which requires 2 magic symbols to activate. There might be other special things. For example, this Frozen Lurker has a little ice token on his tracker. The Earth Knight will get some extra golems, some slag golems that he can use. There's just different tokens that will be used for some of the knights. The game revolves around these decks of cards. You have a deck of cards for the knights, a deck of cards for the demons, and everyone gets a basic card in your hand. So you will always have 4 cards that you can play on your turn, and then it goes to the next person's turn. So when you play a card, the basic card has 3 symbols, a move, a heal, and 1 magic symbol. Most of the other cards will have 2 symbols, a double move or double attack, double defense, or double range attack. And if there's text on the bottom, you can do that instead. So for example, this says deal 1 damage to all close, which means creatures that are in the same same square as you, or an adjacent, which means they are 1 away. This says heal 1 to all allies on 1 close or adjacent tile. Increase healing to 2 if there are no enemies here. So you will decide as you play the cards what thing you're going to do with them. Some cards have the word seal on them or mark. When you play these, it's like a special ability that you will leave in front of you. Like this one says, do 1 damage to a close enemy after you move onto a new tile. And that will stay there until you either die or until you play a different seal, or for the demons, they're called marks. You can also flip the card over and use it for one of the many symbols that are there if you don't like anything on the front. Now, I've already explained that playing 2 magic, so I might play this one for its magic and this for its magic, will activate your special ability. Movement just means move to an adjacent spot. If there are enemies in the spot you're leaving from, they'll do an automatic damage. Swords means you do a damage to someone who's in the same spot as you. Arrows mean you do a damage to someone who is in range from you. Shields are for the knights only. That increases your defense, which you can spend to defend yourself or someone who's an elder who's in the same spot as you, or even an elder who's adjacent to you, but you then have to move there to take that damage. Heal, you can heal yourself or an ally. And then the demon players also have these imps, which allow them to move or activate an imp, which means basically you move or attack with an imp, or if for 2 of them, you can summon another imp, although there is a maximum of 4 imps in the game. This token's pretty important. At the end of every round, which will be between 2 of the players, the knights get a point, then all stone golems get 2 actions on the board, where they can move and attack, move, whatever. Imps get 2 actions. You'll add a new stone golem, and then a new imp. Although, again, both of these are limited to 4. You'll keep going till somebody wins. There's a few other things involved on the board itself. You'll notice that some of the tiles have special abilities. You can play with these if you want to. Like this says, to cross the water, you have to pay an extra movement. So this one's kind of like 2 spaces. This one here says you discard you can discard a card to get double magic when you go to this spot. There's a few things like that. So that's the competitive game. A cooperative game is going to play the same way, except you play as knights. Up to 1 to 3 players will play as knights. And you'll play against demons. And when it's the demon's turn, each knight has their own demon they're dealing with. You'll draw 2 cards. You do the big spot on one card and the small on another. And it just, different things happen. All demons heal 2, move counterclockwise twice. Do 2 damage to a close or adjacent enemy. Do 2 damage to all close enemies. And you just have to beat the demons. There's a few other rule changes, but it plays mostly the same. And then there's a campaign mode where there's a mini campaign that you go through. Now this mini campaign plays out on a map. So you're going to move around on this map. You're then, in the rule book, going to go through, and when you get to different spots, go here, pick various things that will happen, and then occasionally you'll run into some sort of fight. It will show you how everything's set up. It will show you what demons you fight, imps, and so on, and then you go to the next spot. And that's how you play. I think, honestly, for this game, when it comes to ratings, my rating is going to be on the cooperative game. I mean, I'm sorry, the competitive game.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to do the opposite of that.
Yeah, it's on the competitive game, because I want to start off by saying I don't like the cooperative game. I want to start off with that. I have not played through this. Mike said he's going to and do it on a separate video.
I'm planning to do a separate solo review that goes through that, yeah.
I know you guys were down on the cooperative. For me personally, I didn't have as much of an issue with the cooperative version of it. I realized that, yes, the bad guys are random and very punishing in that version, but I still felt the puzzliness of like trying to figure out how to work together and move around and take this stuff out. But then you get smacked back down by the bad guys again.
Yeah, I guess that's the difference for me. I'm with you. I didn't really love the cooperative game, and I think it's because it felt like it was just, I'm sure there was an element of you're not supposed to want to turn over those cards, but they just, all of them felt so discouraging.
They are
and it was
really
just
punishing.
like, oh, come on already.
But in the end of our game, like, we still ended up winning, you know? So it's like, despite all odds, we still were able to pull it out.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's just the fact that, like, normally this game is extremely deterministic. So the huge, like, luck swings and the huge, like, numbers that the bad guys are doing to you kind of make up for the fact that they're not actually making decisions.
And that's, okay, so that's the thing.
Right.
I wonder, I can't help how we played this game.
Right.
I played it competitively many times, and then finally played it cooperatively. If I had played it the other way around. But it's not that that was, I don't even care that it was punishing. I don't like the punishing part.
It's very different from the other game.
It's just random.
It felt very random.
And so when I'm playing a person, I'm thinking, okay, if Mike goes there,
right.
I'm going to trick him by thinking I don't know, there's something about playing another player that's interesting.
The determinism is extremely huge in this game, and figuring out how to like maximize the damage you're doing in the right way and being extremely strategic about it. So I do agree that the cooperative version kind of throws that out the window for the bad guys side. You're still doing that as a hero, but for the bad guys, you're just like, they're just going to move and do whatever. You can't really plan for what they're going to do at all.
You're also forced to play as the knights in the cooperative.
Right.
So there are some pretty big
It's true. I actually like playing as the demons better.
Yeah.
So the game is interesting because there's not many good 2 versus 2 games out there that are built that way. Like almost every game, like, oh, Summoner Wars. Well, you can play 2 against 2.
Yeah, but
sure.
you shouldn't.
You know, oh, you can play this game 2 against 2. And yeah, this one I think is great 2 against 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it's just under the level of chaos. I mentioned the chaos in the cooperative game. It's too much.
Right.
The base game has a decent amount of chaos in it. Oh, this card does this. Oh, I can do this. And that's kind of cool. But it feels fulfilling to me. I'm like, look at all these cool things I do. Oh, I wasn't able to kill the guy this turn. Okay, oh no, what are you gonna do? But you feel it's fun to work with your teammate. And even when I don't mind dying in this game. I mean, I do mind because it gives the team a point. But I'm like, all right, now what kind of special ability do I have?
Yeah, and there are times strategically where you may actually set yourself up to almost as a sacrifice,
right?
Because it's better for you in the long run. It's going to give the other team a point, but it's going to probably be a net positive for you in the scope of things. So, yeah, there is some chaos. This is, like you said, it's almost the opposite, where I think this would be okay 1v1 because you still are only controlling. You don't have to have 2 hands of cards. You still only have the 1 hand of cards. That's
correct.
Because you're all coming from a same central deck, everybody. But I think it's best at 2 versus 2.
This game overall is like really deterministic, but it's all about those special abilities, like you're saying. It's like there's dual use cards where it's like, okay, I can use this for the icons on it, or I can use it for the special ability on the bottom. Like, which is better in this situation? Where I'm standing right now, this is better. But if I move here, then this special ability is way better to play it like that. And figuring out how to determine those cards, it's just fun going back and forth. The fact that you have different demon decks and like the heroes, and the fact that like this is a game where you die, but sometimes dying you're like, I get a new special ability.
Yeah, right.
You know, so it's kind of interesting the fact that you can't really go through a game of this without having a character pass away most of the time. You know, majority of the times you're going to be switching those out.
Well, your team is going to lose somebody.
Right, your team is going to definitely lose somebody, and like, and as the defenders, as the knights, like you want to, you are there to stop the elders from dying. You are literally meat shields. You're just defense, 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 and that's an interesting way to play the game. I'm with you. I like to play the demons more, but like because you get to be the aggressor and jump.
You
on
also have a
everybody.
time pressure on you as a demon.
Right.
You're like, we got to win before the time runs out.
And you can also be like, how do we line this up to where I get this elder here, and then I run over here and get that elder there to seal the deal, and that's really fun for me.
I think this game will appeal to people who like MOBA games, actually. It's not quite a MOBA game, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's a video game where you have streams of minions running at the enemy, and then you have heroes.
Right.
This isn't quite the same, but it has a feel to that because you have the heroes, but you also have minions, and you can't ignore these minions.
Yeah.
Like if you got to take out the imps, unless you're playing a cooperative game, because every card brings them back. But again, in the 2 versus 2, it might be worth my while to kill a bunch of your minions,
right?
Because that really weakens you. Because if you're not careful, minions will finish the job a lot of times.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
And sometimes the minions are doing more damage than you are, so you're just like,
the card system is clever, but it's not too thinky. I'll go, okay, do I want to use the 2 icons at the top or the thing on the bottom? That's my only choice. Or flip it over.
You can flip it over and use it that way.
But I mean, it's usually like, I want to move here, do this, attack.
Right.
It's a little bit of a puzzle, but I don't feel it overwhelming. I never felt like the game drags. And I played this with a lot of people, and I think people like it. I mentioned earlier, and the Wiz War. It has a bit of that. I feel it's not as crazy chaotic, but it is still chaotic. You need to This isn't chess you're playing.
No.
Sometimes you'll draw 3 cards and go, ooh, I don't know how I'm going to deal with these.
And we've mentioned the word strategy a number of times. This, to me, on the continuum of strategy and tactics, is way on the tactical side.
Actually, I would say there's almost, other than kill the enemies. That's your strategy.
So it's tactical. This is a very tactical game to the extent where I think that helps with the, not being draggy. Because, when I draw my hand of cards, I'm going to look at them, but I'm not going to pay too much attention because the board state will be different by the time it gets to me.
Oh, for sure.
So I can't be like, well, this card is going to be used specifically for this character because that character likely won't be there. You have to just be prepared. This is my general idea of what I want to accomplish on this turn. How can I make these 4 cards do that?
I will say with the wrong player, this game could be super AP heavy.
Yes.
Just because you have to figure out the order that those cards are in. That's going to be a player problem. But I do feel like it's still fun to try to figure out the best way to play those cards. You have these cards in your hand. Which way am I going to play it? Am I going to flip this one over and use it to use my magic ability here? Am I going to use this one to move so I can get a better position to line these people up and do these attacks on these people? It's always very interesting. And it's like tactical, like you said, I don't look at my cards until it is my turn. So,
What do you think, Mike?
Well, I do tend to like tactical games, and so this one appealed to me in that way. I think the game is a little messy, if that makes sense. I feel like the rules could have been a bit more explicit and clear in some cases.
I agree.
There were definitely some edge cases and some things where we had to kind of use our best guess from playing a number of games to see how this makes the most sense thematically. So I wish that had been a little more clear. I do wish that maybe there had been more map tiles because you're going to be playing essentially with the same map tiles. They are double-sided, but I wouldn't have minded a few more tiles that you maybe wouldn't have the same in every single game. All that being said, I'm still giving it a 7.5. I like the game. I recommend the game. I think that it feels unique. You've compared it to Wiz War. I haven't played Wiz War, so I didn't have.
I'm trying to think. Have you played Adrenaline?
No, it's another one that's in my that Roy's been trying to get me to play.
Come on, Mike.
But I guess for me, this is not the type of game that I've played very often. I did like it. 7.5.
for me, I'm right there with you. I'm 7.5 also. I enjoyed the game. I think it's fun. This is one that I would pull out and play with people. Wiz War is definitely way more chaotic than this is, but also has crazier cards to do stuff. This game, I enjoy for the determinism and the puzzle that the game is. Each turn, it's your turn, it's a puzzle. And it's kind of interesting trying to figure out how to use those special abilities. And the fact that you're getting new cards that are going to give you new cool little abilities in your hand, it's kind of exciting each time you draw your card. Like, what am I going to get this time? What am I going to get this time? I died, I have a new character. What do I have this time? There's a ton of different knights and guys that you're trying to mitigate all these special abilities. I have fun with it, so 7.5.
All right. To my caveat, not good in the co-op game, which is like a 5.
Yeah.
Mine is an 8. I like it a lot. I'm a big fan of team games where you are a team.
Right.
And in this one, I feel like if I'm a knight, we're like, all right, what are we doing to protect these guys? And if
Being
we're the
jerks.
demons, we're like, well, let's kill everybody. I like that idea. Very rarely will you sit there and go, let's move the amp here, and the other guy's like, no, let's move it here. You're like, no, this makes sense. It feels very teamy, and I like that. I also like that you're not necessarily killing each other, which you are, but it's all about protection and killing these dumb elders walking around like
NPCs, basically.
Right,
Yeah,
and I like that concept. It's not just about blowing someone away.
That's true.
And even if you get some cool cards and you get killed, you're like, still keeping these cool cards.
Yeah.
Right.
And I thought they did a good job at making the different knights and demons.
Yeah.
They're fairly distinct. You
true.
play the fire knight and you play, the
Portal Knight,
the
whatever
portal
he's
knight.
called,
Yeah, those are very different characters.
Right.
So it's a lot of fun for me. I don't think there's enough of these team games out there. A few minor things. I don't like the little things on the tiles. You said you wanted more of them. I actually think they kind of. I don't want to have to think about that stuff
Yeah.
on top of everything else.
And you don't have to play with those, to be clear. That's
You don't.
Yeah.
I just wish also maybe the tiles are all. It's not as pretty, the board. The characters are gorgeous.
Yeah.
But it's one of the few games I wonder if I might like miniatures better.
Oh.
Interesting.
At least
would
maybe
agree
for the
with you.
minions, because sometimes they'll be like, oh, you have a demon over there, or an imp. But hey, I'll say all that. Still lots of fun. It was not what I was expecting at all.
No.
I was expecting some sort of Red Raven game. This is very different than most of his games.
Oh, for sure.
But I enjoyed it. Like I said, in the future at some point, Mike will go through the solo campaign, or I guess it's a co-op / solo campaign.
Right.
But until next time, I'm Tom Vasel,
I'm Mike DiLisio.
And I'm Roy Cannaday.
and that's Nightfall. We'll see you next time.